Picture yourself standing at the edge of the Red Sea. The waters are parting before you, a pathway opening to everything you have ever desired. Freedom, abundance, peace, purpose. The promised land is right there, visible on the other horizon. And then you speak one word. Just one. A word so common, so embedded in your daily vocabulary that you have probably said 12 times already today. And the moment that word leaves your lips, the waters crash back together. The pathway closes. The blessing that was reaching for you retreats back into the invisible realm. You do not even notice it happen because you have been speaking this word your entire life. Jesus warned about this word in teachings that never made it into your Sunday sermon, not because they were not true, but because they were too powerful, too dangerous to the structures that benefit from your block blessings. The Aramaic manuscripts that predate the Greek translations contain a specific teaching about the creative power of human speech. Not prayer, not formal declarations. The words you speak unconsciously, automatically, in the gaps between your thoughts. And there is one word that appears in these ancient texts as the primary seal over human potential. The word that keeps the faithful poor. The word that keeps the devoted sick. The word that keeps the chosen ones wandering in circles, seeing the blessing but never touching it. Right now, before I reveal this word, subscribe to this channel and activate notifications because what you are about to learn will fundamentally alter your relationship with reality itself. And the teachings that follow this one go even deeper into what Jesus actually said about manifestation, about the kingdom, about the power you were born carrying. Take a breath, a deep one. Feel your lungs expand. This moment right here is the last time you will speak this word unconsciously. After tonight, you will hear it everywhere. You will notice how many times per day it almost escapes your mouth. And you will understand exactly why your blessings have been circling above your head but never landing in your hands. The word is can't. I can't afford that. I can't do this. I can't change. I can't heal. I can't see how this works out. I can't understand. I can't make them listen. I can't escape the situation. 50 times a day minimum, that word passes through your lips or your mind. And every single time you speak it, you are not describing reality. You are creating it. Here is what the church never taught you. Here is what got hidden when the Council of Nicaea decided which teachings would survive and which would disappear. In the Gospel of Thomas, saying number 106, Jesus makes a statement that biblical scholars have argued about for generations. He says, "When you make the two into one, you will become children of man. And when you say mountain, move, it will move." Most pastors interpret this as metaphor, as spiritual poetry about faith. But Jesus was not speaking in metaphor. He was teaching physics. He was explaining how consciousness interacts with the quantum field that underlies all physical reality. When he said, "Make the two into one," he was describing the collapse of contradiction in your mind. The contradiction between what you desire and what you declare, between what you pray for and what you speak about, between the blessing moving toward you and the words that repel it. Every time you say the word can't, you're splitting yourself into two opposing forces. One part of you, your divine nature, your pneumatic spark, knows you are capable of all things. It knows you are made in the image of the infinite creator. It knows that limitation is illusion. But the other part of you, the conditioned mind, the ego trained by a world designed to keep you small, speaks lack into existence. And these two forces cannot coexist in activation. They cancel each other out. The blessing hovers in potential, but never materializes into form. You stay stuck, not because you are being punished, not because you lack faith, but because your own mouth is sealing the door that heaven is trying to open. Let me take you into the original language, because this is where it gets staggering. The word Jesus spoke was not Greek. It was Aramaic. And in Aramaic, the phrase that got translated into English as "I can't" is la yakuli. But here is what matters. In the Aramaic understanding of reality, words are not symbols. They are living forces. Every sound you make creates a vibration that moves through the field of consciousness and rearranges matter. This is not mysticism. This is the same principle quantum physicists stumbled into when they discovered that observation collapses the wave function. Your attention, Your declaration, your spoken word literally pulls one reality out of infinite possibilities and makes it solid. When you say, I can't, you are not observing a pre-existing limitation. You are collapsing infinite potential into a single restricted outcome. You are choosing from all available timelines. The one where the thing you want is impossible. Now pay close attention, because this is the part they never wanted you to understand. The book of Proverbs, chapter 18, verse 21, says, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue." Most people read that and think it is a nice poetic verse about being careful with your words. But Solomon was not being poetic. He was being literal. Your tongue, the physical muscle in your mouth, has more power over your destiny than your effort, your education, your connections, or your circumstances, because your tongue names reality. And whatever you consistently name becomes your experience. Jesus demonstrated this everywhere he went. A woman who had been bleeding for 12 years touched his garment, but before she touched him, the text says she spoke to herself, "If I can just touch his clothes, I will be healed." Not maybe, not I hope. Now I can't keep living like this. She declared the outcome before it happened. And the moment her hand made contact, the blessing that had been hovering in potential for 12 years collapsed into physical healing. Jesus turned and said, "Your faith has healed you." But faith in that sentence is not belief. The Aramaic word is haimanek, which means your conviction, your certainty, your spoken alignment with the outcome. She did not beg. She did not say, "I can't take this anymore." She declared, "I can," and the universe rearranged itself to match her words. Now contrast that with another story. The 10 lepers who cried out to Jesus for healing. All 10 were healed. All 10. But only one came back to give thanks. And Jesus asked, "Were there not 10 cleansed? Where are the 9? Here is what you were never told about that story. The 9 went back to their old lives, back to their old language patterns, back to saying, "I can't believe this happened. I can't understand it. I can't trust it will last." And because they spoke doubt, the healing collapsed back into potential. The one who returned, the one who anchored his gratitude with his words, kept his blessing permanent. This is not a story about being polite. This is a technical manual about how to lock in your breakthrough, so it does not evaporate the moment you stop paying attention. Let me show you how deep the programming goes. From the time you could speak, you were trained to say this word. When you reached for something as a child, you were told, "You can't have that." When you dreamed out loud, you were told, "You can't do that." When you questioned authority, you were told, "You can't talk like that." The word was installed as a reflex, as a defense mechanism, as a way to keep you safe, small, and manageable. And every authority structure in your life, school, religion, government, media, benefits from you continuing to speak it. Because the moment you stop saying, "I can't," you become ungovernable. You stop asking for permission. You stop waiting for someone to validate your vision. You access the same creative power that Jesus told you is already inside you. The kingdom of heaven is within, not coming someday, not reserved for the afterlife. Within you, right now, fully operational, except for one thing, the seal over your mouth. Here is a mechanism, step by step, of how this word blocks your blessings. First, it creates a vibrational mismatch. Everything you desire exists first as a frequency. Health is a frequency. Wealth is a frequency. Love is a frequency. Peace is a frequency. When you pray, when you visualize, when you set intentions, you are tuning yourself to the frequency of the desired outcome. You are saying to the universe, "I am ready to receive this." The blessing begins moving toward you. But then you speak, "I can't see how this will work." And that sentence broadcasts completely different frequency. The frequency of lack, of impossibility, of separation from the outcome. The two frequencies collide. They cancel each other out. And the blessing that was already in motion stops. It does not disappear. It hovers, waiting, circling. But it cannot land because the vibrational runway is blocked. Second, it activates the reticular activating system in your brain to filter for limitation. Your brain receives 11 million bits of information per second, but your conscious mind can only process about 40 bits per second. So your brain filters. It decides what to show you and what to hide based on one criterion: what you declare important. When you repeatedly say, "I can't," you're training your brain to look for evidence of limitation, to filter reality through the lens of impossibility. You literally stop seeing the opportunities, the open doors, the people, and the resources that are right in front of you, not because they are not there, but because your brain is now programmed to make you right about your declaration. You said you can't, so your brain works overtime to prove you correct. Third, and this is the most dangerous part, it gives authority to external circumstances over internal truth. When you say, "I can't afford that," you are bowing to your bank account. When you say, "I can't heal," you are bowing to the diagnosis. When you say, "I can't change the situation," you are bowing to the visible conditions. But here is what Jesus taught that got stripped out of modern Christianity. The external world is a shadow. It is a projection of consciousness. It has no power except the power you give it through agreement. The moment you say, "I can't," you are signing a contract with the illusion. You are giving the shadow authority over the light inside you. And once you sign that contract, the universe is legally bound, so to speak, to honor your declaration, not because it wants to limit you, but because free will is a fundamental law. You choose, and your words are the mechanism of your choice. Now here is what changes tonight. You do not need a 40-day fast. You do not need to climb a mountain in prayer. You do not need a prophet to lay hands on you. You need one decision, one commitment, one new pattern installed where the old one used to run. Starting right now, the word "can't" is no longer part of your vocabulary, not as a nice idea, not as something to try, as a hard line, as a non-negotiable boundary. When the word tries to come out of your mouth, and it will try, you stop mid-sentence. You feel it forming. You catch it before it escapes. And you replace it, not with toxic positivity, not with fake affirmations you do not believe, with truth, the truth that Jesus taught. When "I can't afford that" tries to come out, you say instead, "I am learning how to receive that." When "I can't heal" tries to surface, you replace it with, "I am watching my body remember wholeness." When "I can't change" that starts to form, you shift to, "I am open to solutions I have not seen yet." Notice the difference. You are not pretending the challenge does not exist. You are removing the seal. You are opening your mouth in alignment with possibility instead of in agreement with limitation. And the moment you do, the blessing that has been hovering starts to move again. Let me tell you what happens in the first 24 hours. First, you will be shocked at how many times you almost say this word. It will feel like every other sentence. This is not a sign that something is wrong. This is awareness. For the first time in your life, you are noticing the pattern. You cannot change what you cannot see. Second, resistance will come. Your mind will tell you this is silly. Your logic will say one word cannot matter that much. People around you will think you are being weird when you pause mid-sentence to rephrase. This resistance is proof of how deep the programming goes. Do not fight it. Just notice it and keep replacing the word. Third, within 48 hours, you will see the first evidence. A door opens that was closed yesterday. A person reaches out with exactly what you needed. A solution appears that you were not looking for. These are not coincidences. These are blessings that were already in motion, finally able to land because the vibrational block is gone. By the end of the first week, your entire nervous system starts to recalibrate. Your body begins to believe what your mouth is declaring. And here's where it gets wild. Other people start responding to you differently, not because you are trying to manipulate them, but because you are no longer broadcasting the frequency of limitation. You walk into rooms differently. You ask for things differently. You expect differently. And reality has no choice but to reorganize itself around your new signal. This is not manifestation. This is alignment. The blessings were always there. The provision was always available. The healing was always within reach. You were just standing behind an invisible wall made entirely of your own words. And the moment you stop building that wall, every brick dissolves. Jesus said, "The kingdom of heaven suffers violence, and the violent take it by force." That word, violence, in the original Greek is biazo, which means to force your way through, to press past resistance. This is not about aggression. This is about the force of will it takes to override your programming, to stop speaking what you have always spoken, to claim what is yours even when the external world has not caught up yet. If this teaching is landing in your spirit right now, comment the words, "I remove the seal below, not for me, for you," as your first public declaration that the old pattern is done, like this video, so others who are stuck behind the same invisible wall can find their way here. And subscribe, because the next teaching is about the 3 phrases Jesus spoke every morning that guaranteed his manifestations would appear by evening. This is not information you will find in church. This is what he taught in private, and you are about to receive it. The transformation from a consciousness shackled by "I can't" to one operating the power of limitless potential is a spiritual engineering task. It requires more than mere linguistic correction. It demands a total overhaul of the vibrational blueprint that your words are constantly etching onto the fabric of reality. The removal of the word "can't" is the essential act of self-exorcism, clearing the path. However, the subsequent step, the installation of the Aramaic principles of declaration, is the act of self-coronation, where you take your rightful place as a commanding entity within your own experience. This journey is defined by moving from a state of reactionary language to a state of covenantal language. Most people speak in reaction to their environment. They react to the news, react to their debt, react to their illness, and their words are merely echoes of the visible world's limitations. The language of Jesus, as revealed through its original Aramaic roots, is not reactionary. It is covenantal. It establishes a primary agreement between the individual and the universal source that predetermines the external reality, effectively making the external world subject to the internal declaration rather than the other way around. This is a radical self-authority inherent in the concept of Hallelujah, the declaration of the divine within. It is the announcement that the kingdom of heaven is not a distant reward, but an immediately present operational government, and you are its governor. To fully embody this covenantal language, we must delve deeper into the mechanism of the 3 core declarations. Source connection. I am the current of the all, the principle of non-separation. This declaration is the foundation, the master key to all manifestation. The deep spiritual truth in the Aramaic original emphasizes continuous, unhindered flow. The error of separation, the root of all lack, is the belief that you must generate energy, effort, or resources from a finite personal supply. The truth, affirmed by this phrase, is that you are not the generator. You are the conductive channel. When you declare, "I am the current of the all," you are performing a quantum shift in consciousness. You are stating that the boundary between your personal energy field and the infinite creative energy of the universe is artificial and dissolved. This has profound implications for every area of your life. In healing, it replaces the idea that your personal, finite biology must fight a complex disease with the knowledge that the limitless, self-repairing energy of the source is flowing through you. You are not battling illness. You are restoring a channel to its intended flow state. In prosperity, it negates the anxiety of the supply chain. You are not dependent on a job, an economy, or a specific transaction. You are declaring that the wealth of the cosmos, which is by definition infinite, must flow through your conduit to manifest the necessary physical forms: money, opportunities, connections. Lack is impossible when you are the current itself. In wisdom, it bypasses the need for stressful research or calculation. If you are the current of the all, then all knowledge, all creative solutions, and all perfect insights are available to flow through you instantly. The struggle to figure out is replaced by the stillness to let it flow in. The consistent, deliberate use of "the divine current flows through me now," making all things possible, acts as a sonic tuning fork, raising your internal vibration to match the frequency of infinite possibility, forcing your external circumstances to align with that newly established baseline point 2. Present moment reality. The result is now manifest, the principle of finishedness. This is the power of the active verb, the key to transcending the linear illusion of time. The conditioned mind lives in "I hope to be" or "I will get." This language relegates your desire to the hazy, distant future, which, by its nature, can always be deferred. Jesus' method of manifestation was always in the perfect present tense. He did not ask for things to be done. He stated that they are done. This operates on the fundamental law of spiritual cause and effect. The spiritual cause, your declaration, must precede and complete the physical effect, the manifestation. To declare the result is now manifest is to perform an act of imaginative prehabitation. You are not praying for a future house. You are declaring that you are currently residing in the peace and structure of that house. You are not hoping for a new relationship. You are declaring that your life is already enriched and perfectly balanced by the presence of a harmonious partnership. The spiritual power here lies in the fact that, in the consciousness of Source, all possibilities already exist. They are not materialized but fully formed. By declaring, it is now manifest. You are using the divine mechanism of speech, which in Genesis brought reality out of the void, to pull that fully formed possibility from the unmanifest realm into your physical timeline. This eliminates the space between desire and fulfillment, because spiritually, the space is already closed. The external world then instantly begins to rearrange itself, often through seemingly miraculous coincidences and accelerations, to reflect the internal, established reality. You must speak to the world from the destination, not from the starting line. 3. Perfect order. I align with the perfect order, the principle of maintenance and sustainability. This final declaration is the protective seal and the mechanism of sustainability. A common pitfall in manifestation is the successful creation of a desired thing, only to lose it due to the inherent chaos of the human ego and the external world. The 9 lepers who did not return to express gratitude were not necessarily ungrateful. They failed to lock in the perfect order of their healing. They allowed the fear and confusion of the world to re-enter their field. My will is in harmony with the Father's perfect design is not resignation. It is the ultimate affirmation of sovereignty based on flawless design. It asserts that your manifestation is not a fluke, a lucky break, or a temporary reprieve from chaos. It is the intended, intelligent outcome of a universe designed for your ultimate good. When you use the phrase, I align with the perfect order, you are deflecting doubt. When obstacles appear, the unexpected bill, the negative feedback, the sudden illness, the mind defaults to panic and contradiction. This isn't working. The declaration of perfect order silences that noise, asserting that even this seeming obstacle is part of the intelligent unfolding, not a sign of failure. Maintaining the frequency. It prevents the subtle, corrosive thoughts of unworthiness or fear of loss from reinfecting your creation. If the universe's design is perfect, then your possession of this blessing is also perfect and non-negotiable. Ensuring longevity. This statement secures the manifestation within the framework of universal law, making it permanent. It establishes a rhythm of grace, ensuring that your life operates from a baseline of divine alignment rather than constantly fighting against entropy. The integration of this trinity is not a spiritual exercise. It is the adoption of the true language of creation. By speaking this covenantal language every time the old, conditioned mind attempts to use the word can't, you are, phrase by phrase, dismantling the prison of limitation and stepping fully into the kingly authority that was always meant to be yours. The 7-day observation period is merely the time it takes for your subconscious mind to register that the commander-in-chief, your conscious will, has changed the governing decree, and the external world, being a faithful servant, must now obey. One word. That is all it took to keep you locked out of your inheritance. And one decision is all it takes to step through the door. Tonight, when you lie down, when the house goes quiet, the old pattern will try to run. You will think about your problems, and the word can't will try to surface. And for the first time in your life, you will catch it, you will stop it, and you will replace it. That moment, that choice is the hinge point. That is when the blessing that has been circling finally touches ground. You are not lacking faith. You are not being punished. You are sealing your own door with the one word that Jesus warned would block everything. Now you know. Now you choose. The kingdom is within you. It always was. And your mouth is the key.